My name is Raghu Belur. I'm responsible for products at Enphase. Enphase is a global energy technology company, but before we get into that, let me pose what I call a rhetorical question. Do we need a smart grid? Of course we do. I think we've heard that from a couple of other guests. And the question is, what form does it take? I think it really depends on the perspective that you look at it from. As a solar company, as a distributed energy resource company, one of the key drivers for the need for a smart grid, however we choose to define it, is of course allowing for higher and higher levels of penetration of renewable energy, going from where we are today to 20% penetration, and someday to getting up to 100% of penetration of distributed energy resources. And I broaden the term from solar to DER because it includes many other things, including demand-side management as an example. The economic drivers are so strong that this notion of getting to 20% and ultimately to 100% is going to come at us faster than we think. So it's really vital that we prepare for this future, prepare for this new world. India has very, very ambitious goals to get to the levels of penetration of renewable energy that's being talked about. However, there are some significant challenges to be overcome in order to get there. The good news here is that a lot of those challenges have been experienced already in more mature solar markets. And the other good news is technology already exists to address those. The key is for the Indian market to leapfrog and learn from the mistakes and learn from the challenges that have been faced by the more mature solar markets today and bring those technologies out here. So with that, I'm going to talk through some of our experience sets, with all the challenges that we saw. As I said, we are a global energy, we are a global energy technology company, very traditional venture-backed Silicon Valley company. We started about 12 years ago. We are based out of the San Francisco Bay Area, and we started obviously in solar, doing a very unique kind of an inverter system called a microinverter. And since then, we have evolved very recently into managing people's loads as well as energy storage, which I think all of those components are incredibly vital when you think about what benefits can be attained from a distributed energy resource. This is a heat map, a global footprint of our systems. Roughly, we have about, Enphase says there have been about 500,000 plus Enphase systems installed in over 100 countries, 3.5 gigawatts of inverter systems, which translates to about 14 million microinverters. And what a microinverter is, unlike a traditional inverter, is rather than have one big power conversion, we actually do the power conversion at the solar panel itself. So our inverter is embedded into the solar panel, and that's where the conversion occurs. All of these systems, these 500,000 plus systems, now energy systems as well, send data back to Enphase. Data on how the panels are doing. This is all in real time. Data obviously on how the inverters are doing. Data on how your storage system is doing, what's going on with your load. We also get data back on how the grid is doing. We know more about what's going on the grid at that point, that deep in the network, than in some cases the utilities do. Today we collect and manage more than 3 terabytes of data, performance data per day, spread across 100 plus countries. Roughly an Enphase system gets installed every 1.5 minutes. So the amount of knowledge, the amount of information that we get out of it is incredible. But the question is, what do you do with all of that information? And let me just touch on one key point here. If you look at the heat map there, Hawaii is there's about 200 megawatts of Enphase systems on Oahu alone. Oahu is the biggest island in Hawaii, most populated island in Hawaii. There are about 25,000 systems, close to 200 megawatts on a 1.2 gigawatt low inertia grid. Hawaii is a is absolutely a textbook case for what happens when you have high penetration of solar. Talk about that in a second. The broader vision around how we think about distributed energy resources is captured in this. It's what we call as a smart energy home. You have solar on the roof, you've got storage in your garage, you've got some ways to monitor and manage your biggest loads in your house. Your whole house is managed by an energy management system. You may be doing something like self-consumption as an example. And this whole entire, all the homes now are, all of these distributed energy resources are all hyper-connected. This is not something off in the future, it's here today. And it's incredibly powerful if you have the right kind of distributed energy resource, what I refer to as a smart system. If you click down into it, what Enphase does is takes a very IoT appliance approach to all the components that make up the smart energy system, right? Think about the module itself, the solar panel itself. The inversion, there is no notion of an inverter anymore. Imagine a world where there is nothing called an inverter. The function of inversion is embedded in the module. It's embedded in the panel itself. Now that device itself, that function of inversion is extremely smart. Optimizes locally and optimizes globally. Okay? Energy storage, there is no notion of, okay, I have a battery, an inverter, a charge controller, a BMS, a BMU, software, forget about all that. It's a completely integrated storage solution. Same thing with networking as well. The key is systems are becoming more and more complex. If we want to achieve the high levels of penetration of distributed energy resources, as technology providers, our job is to abstract away that complexity. So when you think about people who are going out there and actually installing systems, what we have to do is make it very, very, very simple. It's all about being plug and play. It's all about being integrated, and let the software take over and abstract away that complexity. Here's a simple example of an energy management system. Think about it. We do this today. What I call as a self-consumption heuristic. You have overproduction from your solar system, you're meeting your demand, you charge a battery. Right? You charge a storage system. When you have underproduction, you discharge your storage system. The software, all that rides on top, the energy management system that rides on it can be made extremely sophisticated where it makes economic decisions. It's the tertiary layer of control, which says, okay, I have underproduction. Now I can make an economic decision of should I draw the energy from the grid or should I draw the energy from my storage system? What's the marginal cost of electricity at that point? Regulatory requirements also add to this. Regulatory requirements could say you cannot export a single electron into the grid because you have voltage management issues on the grid. Now if you have a system that's very smart, that's sitting out there and it's connected, that system can make decisions around managing your load locally. It can make decisions on when to charge your storage system. And in a corner case, it can even make a decision of saying, hey, I need to curtail your solar because there's just too much generation at this point. Those systems are being operated today as we speak. The approach that we take to this whole execution is a very platform approach. Think about a power conversion, comms, software, big data infrastructure as a platform, and think about solar, load, storage, grid services, operations and maintenance, all of these as applications that run on this platform. What this allows you to do is prepare for the future. So let's talk about that for a second. When you think about future, right, what do you get when you get an energy system? You basically, in financial terms, you're buying a bond that pays its annuities over 20 years. Now, the face value of that bond is going to be as good as how consistently and reliably that bond pays out its annuities. Now, think about the environment that you're installing these energy systems in. It's changing at a dramatic pace. The grid is changing, loads are changing, regulations are changing, tariffs are changing, weather is changing. It's unrealistic to think that you can install a system out there and it won't have to evolve its behavior over time. It'll have to change. And let me illustrate that with an example. A few years ago, Hawaii, as I said, there's 200 megawatts of solar. One of the challenges with high penetration of PV is, in Hawaii, to illustrate that point, at 15% penetration levels and some feeder networks at 25% penetration levels, energy actually flows back towards the substation. The utility has an incredibly difficult time in maintaining voltage. Worse, in some instances, energy goes back towards the transmission system. And in low inertia grid, you have a hard time maintaining frequency. The utility came to us and said, you've got 25,000 systems, we need you to change the behavior of all of these solar systems, all of these distributed energy resources. If you have the right kind of system, a very smart DER that's hyper-connected, you can do a lot of very interesting things. What we were able to do there was actually change the behavior of all of our devices, all of those systems. And with the proverbial push of a button, after we had taken care of things such as cybersecurity, privacy, regulatory issues, reliability, etc., we were able to change the behavior of 25,000 systems, about 1 million inverters, without doing a single truck roll, and we did that from San Francisco. I propose that this is going to be part of the course. This is going to happen more often than not. So when you think about what a smart system is, you need something that's obviously cloud connected and managed, a system that can manage with infrastructure all the communications, the software, many terabytes of data. At the same time, you need a system that's completely software defined. When you look at your smartphone, that's your ultimate in a software defined appliance. You push a button, it's a phone. You push a button, it's a GPS. You push a button, it's a browser. We take that same approach to defining our pieces of hardware as well. The software that runs on it instantiates its behavior. But you need that, as I illustrated in the previous example, is these systems will have to change their behavior over time. But now think about what we have accomplished. We accomplished a system that it's an endpoint monitor. It gives you feedback on how your grid is doing at the endpoint. It provides control, because now you can provide all of these what are called advanced grid functions like volt-var optimization, ramp rate control, curtailment, frequency watt optimization. All of these things these smart devices can do, provided you're software defined, provided you're hyper-connected. But now not only are you doing endpoint monitoring, you're providing control. Oh, by the way, those systems do power conversion. Power conversion just now happens to be one of 3 things these smart devices do out there. There's a lot of work that's already gone on. I encourage India to follow the guidelines that have been set by California Rule 21, Hawaii 14H. Incredible amount of work has gone on already on what I call advanced grid functions. So in conclusion, here's what I say, right? This is really crucial for India as India embarks on its journey for very ambitious journey of adding that level of renewable energy on its grid. Is the DER can be the brains of the grid if you choose the right set of smart energy functionality in the system. Or you can be an absolute barnacle. And the key is you need a system that's fully adaptable, fully controllable, and hyper-connected. Think about a world where more smart energy you add, the more reliable and more efficient the grid gets. That's an incredible goal to have, and that's why I encourage, as we think about the regulators, to think about leapfrogging here, getting ahead of the problem and saying, mature markets have experienced all of these problems, and we can get ahead and put requirements in place, regulations in place that says you should be installing smarter energy systems, not just dumb boxes. Thank you.